What's up guys, welcome back to another video, hope you're all doing well today. Today we have got an Italian track created by Nico, different to the MXB shop Nico, just wanted to add in there, completely different person. But this is Cadrazet and this is a loamy soil type Italian track, and it's a track that I actually covered as my first ever custom track in Track They Are, which is quite interesting. It stemmed from the same base, however it seemed to be a group project at the time, and some of the people moved over to Track They Are, which is why it got released over there, and Nico's kind of made sure it got released on MX bikes as well. And I was just having a quick fly around before I started playing, and one thing that seems quite unique about this track compared to others is all of these different coloured dirts that you see in front of you, like the light colours. They are genuine like terrain. Now usually on tracks they'll have like the textures and the norms and stuff make it look like there's variation on the ground, but there isn't, whereas this one does that a little bit differently. So on first looks and track layout it doesn't seem to be the most difficult track in the world. However, I guarantee that this little bit of roughness on the straights is going to cause all sorts of issues. Now, I'm on the Honda 250 today. Now, a lot of people, for some reason, seem to be asking what bikes I'm running in all these videos recently, so I thought I'd get it out of the way early. Reason for that is, having played this track on Track They Are, I know that it's quite a tight and technical one, lots of just tight 180 turns. Please don't go over the bars, thank you. So I thought it would just be the best move rather than riding around the old Fantic 450. So give the 250 a little bit of love. I believe that I'm going to be riding the 250 very, very soon on the east coast of NA. So I do need a little bit more practice on it. Now, I did touch on it ever so slightly at San Diego. However, I believe my impressions are correct, and I think everyone else is in the same boat here, that for some reason San Diego is a very difficult 250 track. I was really struggling to get any sort of clean laps down, so it's a good thing that I wasn't actually racing at that time. I mean, I'm struggling to get some clean laps down now. I'm kind of all over the place. Like, that's 2 crashes within the first lap, which is never usually a good sign. But so far, this track, it looks really, really nice. Visually really stunning. I love the colours that have been used. Over in the pits, where you spawn over there on the right, he's got a little bit of music in the pits, like as some environment sound. It is Darude Sandstorm, which just kind of throws me back to going to some of the GP races back in the day where they played Darude Sandstorm on the line. Is that still the case, or have they found a different song now, or do they play something entirely different? I'm not too sure. Yeah, a bit of Darude Sandstorm in the pits is always fun. Definitely a little bit of nostalgia there for me, so it was nice to hear that. Unfortunately, can't really sit in the pits and listen to it unless I want YouTube to demonetize me. So that is the reason why you don't get to hear it in this video. If I'm pretty sure every single person of you, no matter what age you are, knows what song I'm talking about. If not, just hop on YouTube. I mean, you're already on YouTube. Add another tab. Finish watching this video, of course. But then after that, feel free to go and listen to it. You'll know full well as soon as you hear what song it is. Just what it is. Really, really good. And let's get around here. Ooh, traction's a little bit slippery, but I suppose it makes sense when it's meant to be a lonely track. Now, I feel like I may have played this track on MX Simulator as well. I believe it was going to be from a completely different track creator. I'm talking this was a few years ago now. But this style of track, I think it's quite a unique track the way it's built, and I feel like that's why I probably remember it more than anything. I would like to do this on a bike even smaller than the 250, maybe a 125, but I really can't be bothered going through the whole process of getting the 2-stroke OEMs back, and the other 2-stroke OEMs, the updated ones, are going to be with us around the 20th or so of February. So, I mean, just keep hold of that. For some reason, a lot of people seem to think that they were going to be released around the 20th of January, which just isn't the case. The roadmap that the OEM team released always stated February time. So that's what I'm waiting for. Hopefully I'll get to bring you some nice fun content on those 125s and 252 strokes as well. I'd like to do a shootout video across all the bikes, just separate ones for their own category, of course. So 450s, 252 strokes, 4 strokes, 125s, etc. I think it'd be quite nice to break them all down. It's just right now a case of just putting the time aside and doing it. I'm a little bit busy right now, but within a week or so I should be nice and free again with my time, so I'll get to bring you all a bit more in-depth content that's had a little bit more time spent on it too. Now, I believe this video is going up on, what's the date today? It's the 24th. This should go up on the 25th, which is a Wednesday, and if you are watching this before Friday by any chance, then hopefully you guys all stop in for the round 3 of the ARL Supercross season. I live stream every single one of those races. We've had over 500 people in the first 2 rounds, which is really, really good to see. And I'm currently sat in 3rd in the championship, which I think is a pretty respectable place to be in. Currently sat how many points is it? I think it's 7 points currently behind Hurls and Skills, who are tied for P1. So very cool getting to see a joint red plate going into round 3. I think that's really, really exciting stuff. And I'm quite happy and quite content with where I am. I think after all the races, those of you that kind of sit in the live streams, you can attest to this. I always seem quite disappointed by the end of it, even getting the P3, which a lot of people I think would usually be quite ecstatic with. But for me, myself personally, whilst I do like winning, I do need to accept when a good result is a good result. Now, one massive thing I'm going to be working on is like first few lap speed, because I'm happy with my happy with my rough stuff and my endurance. When the track gets super rough, I seem to be okay. It's just starting off the race a little bit faster, and then as soon as I've got that sorted out, I feel like I can kind of stick with the top guys a bit more. My starts are pretty decent. I want to say like 5 times out of 10 maybe I get the start that I want and I can come out in the top 3, and then I just need to make sure I don't crash. That's always the biggest issue in my books. For any of you guys that have been trying to qualify for Aerial, or maybe you haven't had any luck so far, definitely keep at it. I know like Charlie at the moment, he's not been able to put in as much time as he would like to, which has led to him being like a couple of seconds off the qualifying pace. I don't want anyone to be disheartened if they've not qualified for any races so far this year, that for whatever reason, the qualifying pace in both EU and NA has just been ridiculous, like absolutely insane. Now let's take San Diego as an example. I put in a lap which, in my own personal standards, I thought was an absolute burner. Like, I was really happy with it. I think it was like a very low 57. Now, the 250 cutoff time for NA was a 1 minute flat, which to only be 3 seconds off of one of the top 450 times is disgustingly quick. I have no idea how everyone's doing it. I think it's very, very impressive stuff. If you are one of them people, just keep putting the time in and you'll slowly get there. You'll get closer and closer to the qualifying times. You'll find that towards the end of the season, the back end, when there will be less sign-ups, you'll have a better chance of making it in. And the only advice I can give you in the meantime is, whilst it's always good to practice your qualifying speed, practice your race pace, I must say, sorry, practice your consistency, you do also have to make it into the race in the first place. So usually I'm a massive advocate of practice consistency first, practice hot lap second. However, if you're not even making it into the race, then I really think the qualifying stuff comes first. So to kind of replicate those real circumstances, I would advise maybe go through the Supercross tracks list of all the Supercross tracks that have been released on MXB Mods or MX Bike Shop, download them, and then without touching them, set yourself a period of, oh god, how long do we get? So we get 30 minutes to practice the track. We then get, the servers then go up and we get 10 minutes more practice. We then get 20 minutes of qualifying. So we get an hour in total. So set yourself maybe 40 minutes to learn the track, kind of set your markers, whatever it may be, and then give yourself like a 20-minute time limit to see how fast you can go. That can be in your own server as a race or whatever it may be, and keep going back to the pits and going back to the start, or you can even just set a marker near the finish line as well. That's a really good way of going about it, and just put yourself in like practice circumstances, and that's really the best advice I can give. I generally was worried at the first round of the season if I was going to be able to qualify in. I know some people probably roll their eyes hearing that coming from me, thinking like, how could you ever be worried? But I definitely consider myself more of a racer than a hot lapper. So knowing how fast everyone's been going it can be disheartening at times. And I take San Diego as a prime example. I've watched a bunch of people's hot laps now after the fact, after the races all happened, and watching those laps back, I generally don't see anywhere where it's like, oh, that's where I'm losing my time. You know, there's not some massive line, and the corners don't look a whole lot faster than I feel like I'm going, but they obviously must be, because I am about 2 to 2.5 seconds off of the fastest laps I've seen, and that's actually a hell of a lot of time on a Supercross track when the rhythms are all the same. So it must just all be in the corner speed, staying lower in the rhythms, and I think I'll get there as the season progresses. I still feel a little bit rusty from time to time, and just in terms of my home personal life over the last week or so, I've not been able to put as much time into the game as I would like to. However, it's all all coming up Millhouse recently. It's all going to be good, and I'll be on the grind, back on the grind. I'll be making sure, forcing Charlie to play a bit more actually as well, so we kind of bounce off each other. I have a reason to play the game because I'm playing it with him. He has a reason to kind of practice Supercross a little bit more and try and qualify for one of the pro races, and everybody's in for a good time. And I did just want to say thank you to everyone that stopped by on them live streams. They really are motivating. They're always nerve-wracking. Like, I don't think I'll ever get used to the feeling of having 500 people watching me play a game at one time. I know it's all online, but I really do try and compare it to like having 500 people sat in a room watching you, just staring over your shoulder. And it's interesting, to say the least, which is probably another reason why I'm so happy with myself and placing where I do, given the amount of pressure that's on me. But just before I wrap this video up, I just want to say this track is an odd one. There's bits of it I really like. There's bits of it I'm not such a fan of. I really like the difference in the ground texture. I love that it's not all completely flat. The ruts, they feel like they don't flow as I would expect. They feel like they're quite strict on where they start and end. I mean, I've never been to the track myself. I don't know how the ruts truly develop. Obviously I love all this stuff on the straights here, but like here, it doesn't feel too natural. Maybe the curve of the rut itself, how it's built, feels a bit... it just feels very man-made, is the only way I can word it. But I believe this is Nico's third ever track that he's released. I had a quick look through his MXB mods post history, and it's a massive, massive step up from what he's created previously. I'll give him that much. Like, my hats off to you, sir. You've done a very, very good job. It looks really pretty. I think that's probably its biggest testament. And then I'd like people to... other track creators, just learn a little bit from this ground stuff. All this stuff on the straights that you see here, like right underneath me, where it's all kind of rising and falling all over the track. It's nice. It adds a little bit of character to it. It adds a little bit more difficulty to the track. So I imagine that once all the erode kicks in and gets super deep too, it'll be even more so. And I feel like there'll be situations where maybe your back end steps out because you've cross-rided a little bit that you wouldn't get on other tracks. But that's just my opinion. Well, that's just a game theory. Where do I keep looking back here because I keep going around this wrong corner and seeing that it joins onto the track there. I'm guessing there must be some sort of a split section somewhere. It looks like it's this part of the track here. Where does this stem from? Ah, okay, so this kind of stems off from the right. Guessing there's an alternate kind of track layout. I know that some of the tracks I go to in person, they use just a different track layout on any given day. So there's a little extra bit right there, should you want to take it. But overall, I think he's done a really, really good job, and I approve. Really, really good stuff. And it's nice seeing some more lesser experienced track creators pumping some content out for us, and really glad that he's brought it to us. So now we've got this track in MX Bikes and Track AR, and I've also believe, like I said earlier, we've got a version of it in MX Sim as well from different track creators, of course. But that'll do it from me. Please do drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'd really, really appreciate it. Have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you guys are up to, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.